What would you do if your doctor told you you only had 12 months to live? This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV, and this week my special guest is Johann Ilgenfritz. He's going to tell us how he reversed that same prognosis 13 years ago. And it all starts right here, right now on Guys TV. You can also catch me on KCAA Radio here in Southern California, Guys Radio, my worldwide podcast, and we're on UK Health Radio all weekend long. Guys TV, Guys Radio. Thanks for your support. Okay, Guys Radio. It is the interview portion of our show, and I'm delighted to welcome our special guest today, Johann Ilgenfritz. Johann attained his master in photography in Germany, worked successfully as a fashion photographer many years in Hamburg, which I love that city, and London. His life changed drastically, though, in 2011 when he had a heart attack, and then 6 months later was diagnosed with cancer. After unsuccessful radiotherapy, he was left to find other survival options, which he did. And during his search, he started going through, as anybody would, which I did when I was diagnosed 11 years ago, trying to find ways on the internet to what causes cancer, what can I do lifestyle-wise, along with working with, the allopathic treatments and everything, what can we do on our own to help ourselves? Now, after overcoming cancer through nutritional and lifestyle changes, Johann has earned the title of the Curator of Health Expertise from the press. Initially he saw cancer as the root of his illness, but then through his research, he realized that it was merely a symptom of an already unwell body. I can relate to that. He understood that by addressing the underlying cause, he could transform the outcome. And here he is today, and I believe it's over a decade. He is now the CEO of UK Health Radio, which we broadcast on amongst other platforms. And they have embraced a clear mission to go inspire and empower people to take responsibility for their own health. I'm honored to be a presenter on the network, and I thank Johann for the opportunity. And Johann's going to share his story. We're not curing cancer here, folks. We're going to share Johann's story. I might pipe in with a couple of my tidbits because I've went through a similar process, but this is all about Johann. The name of his book is called Reversing Cancer, the Philosophy of RECNAC. You caused it, you can reverse it. Welcome to Guys Radio, Johann Ilgenfritz.
Great to be here. Thank you very much, Robert.
So let's start right at the beginning. How long has it been since you were first diagnosed with cancer?
I was diagnosed in 2011, so 13 years ago, basically, plus minus almost.
Amazing. And then what exactly is, in your opinion, from what you've learned, what do you think cancer is and what causes it?
Cancer, as you so rightly mentioned in the beginning, cancer is the symptom of a sick body. It's an illness, but it's not the cause of it. It's a byproduct of us not treating our bodies properly through not only nutrition, but through so many lifestyle choices that we make over the years. And it does, it all adds up after a while somehow. It does do that. So that, for me, that is cancer. Cancer is the body really shouting at us that you are hurting me. Come, get it right. Start treating me properly, giving me the stuff that I need, the nutrition, the balance, the emotional, spiritual, physical balance to function properly. Mm-hmm. For me, that is cancer.
Amazing. When I was diagnosed back in 2013, I believe, or 14, I had two small growths on my kidneys that I found out through. I had a kidney stone, and I had pain from. I noticed it when I was running, and I had to go through two procedures. And at the end of it, my surgeon said to me, "We love patients like you." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you take care of yourself. You did some research. You're aware of lifestyle. It's so important." You can't just leave it in other words, we as people, we can do things on our own to help ourselves. Of course, we want to work with the allopathic practitioners, and mine saved my life. But also, since then, I've saved my life. So I think that's your story also, Johann. Tell us what happened. You had a heart attack. You were in the fashion photography business. I'm in advertising. Stressful businesses. I think my business caused my illness. You were in your business. You had a heart attack, and then you find out you have a cancer diagnosis. What happened?
Definitely, I'm convinced of the fact that, especially the time pressure. In my case, time pressure plays havoc with my system. Different people relate to different stresses, and in my case, time pressure is my Achilles heel, unfortunately. And as you know, coming out of the advertising world, the photography, the fashion world, it is only pressure. that's what that's what it thrives on. And that was basically, I I know and I believe that that was one of the reasons why this happened. So I did have the heart attack while playing tennis, funnily enough. The person I was playing against was a medical doctor, so he knew exactly what to do, etc. 4 months after the heart attack, we didn't know what was happening because I wasn't getting any better. And the doctors were all saying to me, you should be feeling better. And I wasn't. And that was then when they did the diagnosis. The first diagnosis, I separate them because it's vitally important from my side, my role in how I reacted to the two diagnoses I got. My first diagnosis put me into an absolute frenzy. I didn't know what was top or bottom. I was absolutely useless. I say I stumbled into radiotherapy, meaning from my point of view, stumbling in. Everything was done perfectly from the medical side, but I just, as I said, I was absolutely useless.
Mm-hmm.
I was still in the point where I took no responsibility for anything, absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was being done to me,
It sounds
and
like
I wasn't
you were.
doing anything for me,
Mhm.
kind of thing. Yeah.
It sounds
So
like you were
that was,
you were afraid. Obviously, who wouldn't be? I know I was.
oh
So,
yeah.
what is when they what tests did they do to find out that you had cancer, and what type of cancer did they diagnose?
I actually had. It started off with skin cancer, and I had two kinds, and unfortunately, the two um, most aggressive and fast-growing cancers you can get. Nodular melanoma was the one, which is the most dangerous skin cancer you get. It can literally become life-threatening within 6 weeks. And the other one
what is
was
that? What is that for those our audience who's not aware? What is nodule melanoma?
nodular melanoma is a melanoma, is like a skin cancer
Okay.
that starts on you. I also had a kind which is a melanotic melanoma, which is a kind of skin cancer that it doesn't have melanin in it. So it's see-through, it's skin color. You can't see it, and sometimes it even grows under the skin, which in my case also happened.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two that were found, and of course, we went through all the testing and everything, and I was then, I then went into radiotherapy. It was in my case not chemo, but radiotherapy. I had 2 sets of radiotherapy, each set consisting of 12 treatments.
What is that? What is
Um,
radiotherapy for those unaware of it?
well, it's like
Frequency?
chemotherapy.
Hmm?
It's a frequency. Yes, it's sort of. Um, Yeah, it's a frequency treatment that you go through. So it's not like chemotherapy where you're hooked up onto a drip where that actually goes into your body. It's a frequency, correct?
Was chemo an option
So,
for you?
it they did. The doctors did speak about it, but they thought that in my case it would be better, quicker, and more responsive.
Okay. So how long did
The
they give you? How
radiotherapy.
long did they give you to live at that point? And this was 13 years ago.
I, at that point, it was just there was no
Timetable?
telling me how long I had to live. At that point, we were all working towards getting the rid of the cancer. The second diagnosis was a terminal cancer, was the terminal cancer diagnosis. So the first one, as I said, we did the radiotherapy, we did all that. It was strange because when it was finished and I got the all clear, I have to admit I had a feeling in me that that it was I wasn't part of the process. I literally wasn't part of the process. My only duty was to be there for the treatment. I personally hadn't done anything, and I had that feeling. I didn't recognize what it was at that time, but I had this funny feeling that I hadn't done what I was supposed to have done for some reason. I didn't know what. Nobody told me what to do, what to eat, to continue doing sports, anything like that. But the worst thing, Robert, is I didn't ask. That's just to put you and the listeners into the picture on where I was at that point. And I was then given the all clear, cancer free after the treatment. And then during my first post cancer screenings, I got the second diagnosis, which was a terminal diagnosis, which they said to me I have maximum of 12 months to
Now
live.
that was based on if they'd given you the all clear. What was the
Yeah.
time frame between your next screening?
It was about 4 months.
Okay, and then what did they see to change their prognosis so drastically?
Well, it went from being all clear to me having 7 tumors all in all.
Wow.
Including one in my eye, funnily enough, which not many people ever get. But I even had one in my left eye, lungs and abdominal.
All that were generated initially from the skin cancer?
Apparently, that's what the doctors
okay.
Suspected. Yes.
Okay. So at that point, what was your reaction? Obviously, you were concerned, and what did you do? And what did they tell you to do?
That was the funny thing about this is somehow this I was totally different during the second diagnosis. I can remember it as if it happened yesterday. Me sitting there and me hearing my oncologist say to me, a very wonderful lady, she really was an excellent doctor and everything. She really, really took care of me really well. And her saying to me, Johann, we're really sorry. We don't know what happened. It spread, etc., etc., and you have about 12 months to live maximum. And my reaction was I could actually hear my own voice in the back of my head screaming at me, you're not going to die.
Wow.
It's not going to happen. So my reaction was completely the opposite to the first time, where I literally went into an absolute frenzy, paralyzed by fear, almost. This time around, I was different for some reason. And thinking back now, I say that was the day I decided to take responsibility for my own health. Not, people say yes, but I'm not saying, do it all by yourself. I'm not saying that at all, but you have to do your bit. Everybody else is doing their bit. And nobody, let's face it, between you and me, you know what I'm talking about. Nobody is going to fight for your life the way you are.
Exactly.
You can't expect doctors, they've got 40, 50 patients. Of course, they're doing their best, but their attention is slightly split between all their patients. So you and I, people like you and I that are diagnosed, we are going to do it only for us, and that's the way it should be. In that point, at that stage of the game. So yeah, it was a huge difference. And even though and another very important thing, I went home after being told, after that bombshell, that I actually handled really well, considering in that situation. I went home. I did tell my wonderful wife that the cancer had returned. I never told her about the diagnosis, about the terminal diagnosis. Up until today, I have never actually said to her, told her the diagnosis. To me, it was as if I would say it, I would make it real.
That's I can't agree with you more on that. It's so powerful.
Manifest it or whatever. Yes. Now I would say manifest it. In those days, I had no clue about manifestation and all this stuff. But I thought I'm going to make it real. If I had to voice it, it would become real.
Amazing. My special guest on Guys Radio today, Johann Ilgenfritz. We're talking about his book, Reversing Cancer, the Philosophy of REC-NAC. You cause it, you can reverse it. I guess the obvious question is, what does REC-NAC stand for?
It's actually very simple. It's cancer written backwards, reversed.
That's I love it.
That's all it is.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I should have picked up on that. So you went home.
No, the door. Yes.
I love it. So you went home. You decided to take this on your own. What did you do? How did you get started? And what was your first aha moment, and where you told yourself, you were both said, like, I can do this. I can turn the tide here.
Well, I basically started there where you are told not to go, in the internet. And we're talking 2011, so the internet wasn't what it is today. I mean, let's face it. I went home that day and I started searching. And to cut a very long story short, and a quite traumatic story, because I was getting sicker and sicker and weaker. And the information I was getting through the internet was all doom and gloom, and you are going to die. It is going to be painful, this kind of thing. And 7 months into my allotted 12, and I just want to go back one step. A diagnosis. I want the listeners to realize this, to know this, that a diagnosis is only someone's opinion. It's not chiseled into stone. It's an opinion. It's like you saying to me, Johann, I don't like the pink shirt you're wearing. It's your opinion, but I do. It's only an opinion. It's not the reality. And I think if you start on that mindset, you're really on the right track. It's somebody's opinion. You've got to take action. You've got to do something, and then you start. Action has genius, as I always say.
And to be fair to the allopathic practitioners, I mean, the opinion comes out of the work they do on a daily basis. So it's not like just being pulled out of the air. It's not like your best friend's opinion. This is from a professional. That said, it's happening to us. So we have to determine what steps we're going to take and how we want to work together as a team with the medical professionals, but also how do we take care of ourselves because they're so busy. So you in the book, and it's terrific, make a connection between diet and cancer, and also alkaline and acidity. Talk to us
Yeah,
about that. How did you find that? How did you piece that together? And how did you start to make the changes for yourself that saved you? Because you think about, oh, diet, I'll change my diet. I've got 3 months to live. Is that going to change things? Oh, I'll go more
mhm,
alkaline. Is that going to change things in 3 months? I mean, that's my first thing I would think of hearing this if I was a listener. So tell us what happened.
absolutely. So about seven months into my allotted 12, um, really not well at that stage. To give you an idea, it took me 20 minutes to walk up. Well, it's actually 3 flights of stairs, but 2 levels. So the ground floor, the first and the second. 20 minutes to walk up 3 flights of stairs, just to give the listeners an idea of my physical state at that point. Not good. The One morning, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I was up searching the internet. I read a sentence, a small little sentence that said, cancer cannot survive in an oxygenated alkaline cellular environment. Now, by this time, I had educated myself enough through all my reading and searching that I knew what that sentence meant. And Robert, the second I read it, I was like standing in a dark football stadium and somebody flipped on all the lights. That second I knew, I actually woke my wife at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I woke her and I said to her, literally word for word, I have found a way not to die. And that's where we started. We had no idea about nutrition, about alkalinity, about acidity. We just started researching. And as we researched that, it was 2 o'clock in the morning. So that day, a couple of hours later, we started. And as we learned, we implemented, we tried. There was no information out there that there is today about, as I said, alkalinity and the alkaline diet and all this. So um, the that's how we started, and we just I became a vegetarian overnight. I became a vegan a couple of weeks later, literally 2 or 3 weeks later. We had studied and gathered so much information about the acidity of meat and all this kind of stuff, but we were absolute beginners at this. We were green, literally. Became a vegan today, and I have been for many years now. I'm an alkaline vegan, so I only eat alkaline food,
Give us a
which of
few.
course is vegan.
Give us a few examples of alkaline food.
Alkaline, it's not rocket science either, but like leaf greens, all that kind of stuff is
Organic, of course, right?
alkaline. Organic, if you can get it,
Mhm.
etc. That is what we do. We only do organic as
Mhm.
well, of
Mhm.
course, because of
Okay.
I know,
Let
don't
me
need
ask
to
you
say
this:
why and everything. Yeah.
alkaline water. I've been
Yes.
drinking alkaline water for the past 10 years. The only time I don't drink it is when I have a meal because I think you need the acid to break down the food. But do you drink
Mhm.
alkaline water regularly?
Um, I know this is very controversial. I only drink distilled water.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people find it very controversial. I
Right.
do add minerals to the water. It's, it, it's something you have to do because distilled water is mineral deficient, but it's the purest kind of water you can. And I drink it. I've been drinking distilled water now for at least 6 or 7 years.
Mhm.
So,
And
yeah,
do
and
you
it's
no, go ahead.
sorry, yes.
How much of it do you drink a day? Have you dialed up your hydration levels since your original diagnosis?
Yes, hydration is very important in this whole journey.
Hmm.
I drink about 3.5 liters of water a day.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
sugar is obviously a bad thing because, from my understanding, cancer can feed on sugar. So you have a lot of fruits and vegetables. Fruits have sugar. How do you find the right things to eat and be able to manage the sugar intake?
When it comes to fruit, I almost eat no fruit, literally. I know, but it was a conscious decision. I just decided that at that point it wasn't worth me taking the risk on fruit. The only fruit I really eat is pomegranate, and that's as a garnish on top of a meal now and again. On a few meals that we do, a bit of a bit of pomegranate on top is delicious, um, but there are fruits that are really alkaline and really support alkalinity, like kiwis, for example. That's a fruit. But I don't eat any other fruit at all, actually. Um, Vegetables, of course, it's sugar-free, etc. There are some, for example, carrots and stuff that do have a little bit of sugar in them, but it is so minimal that the vegetables, I eat anything and everything, literally.
Now tomatoes are considered a fruit, but most of us think of them as a vegetable, and we make sauce and salsa and things like that. Do you eat tomatoes?
I don't. I don't eat them in a cooked form because they're two tricks. They're two tomatoes and potatoes. Tomatoes are, when they're raw, completely alkaline, which then I eat them. But as soon as you cook them, as soon as they go into a meal, into the cooking process, they go completely acidic. So we don't cook with tomatoes at all anymore. If there's a dish where tomatoes should be in, we do it before we do the whole dish finished. And then when it's at an edible temperature, we add the tomato if we want to. Now, potatoes is the other example where potatoes are really acidic in the in the raw form. I'm talking acidic as in 5.4. The pH scale goes from one up to 11, where 7.2 is neutral. So anything below that is acidic, and everything above that is alkaline. Now, potatoes are like 5.4 on the pH scale. But as soon as you digest them, so when you've cooked, when you've boiled them or whatever, and they are so rich in potassium, in magnesium, and in calcium that they metabolize alkaline, which is a great relief to me because I am German and I adore potatoes. So for me to be able to, when we found out that we are able to eat potatoes, and of course, young potatoes are of course less acidic in the raw state than what the ones are that have been, lying in the dark for a season or two.
Okay. The book is called Reversing Cancer, The Philosophy of RECNAC, cancer spelled backwards. You cause it, you can reverse it. Johann Ilgenfritz is my special guest, and we're going through his story, basically, what's happened to him. He's here 13 years later after being diagnosed with having 12 months to live. So what you're doing is working, Johann. So we talked a little bit about the alkaline diet. Did you do anything, and it's all in the book, and there's recipes and all kinds of stuff in there. Hydration, we talked about. Let's talk about a little bit detoxification and intermittent fasting. I do intermittent fasting just as a lifestyle. I find it helps me. If I miss a day now and then, if I have to do something, fine, but I make it a lifestyle choice. And for me, it seems to work, but I'm not sure how it works. How does it work for you? How does it work overall? And how does it help detoxify the body?
Brilliant question. Intermittent fasting, as it is a very good thing. Again, you've got to find out which form of fasting works for you. Now, for me, not to eat for 3 days is not possible. So I tried it. I tried a day. I had difficulty in going a day without eating. So for me, the intermittent fasting is the best option. I'm currently at an 18-6, what they call the 18-6 intermittent fasting. So I don't eat for 18 hours, and I then in the 6 hours I have 2 meals. I have a main meal lunchtime, and I have then a light meal before 6 o'clock in the evening. So basically, what that means is, with the intermittent fasting, with any fasting, your body goes from digestion, the state of digestion, into the state of repair, fixing, detoxing, etc. So that's literally how it works. Your body has the time to repair, to work on the detoxing of your body, etc. Very important as well, the detoxing side of things. We've got 3 detoxing systems. We know the liver, the kidneys, etc. And the lymphatic system, which is very important because the lymphatic system is the only one that doesn't have a pump. The only way you can get your lymphatic system to detox is through movement, through exercise. But that's so basically that is why fasting in any which way, shape, or form that suits you is such a good thing.
And you
of course,
go ahead, Johann.
My fasting is not a dry fast. I drink continuously. My water intake, as we said before, is quite high. So I'm only talking about food now.
Okay. Another part of kind of detoxification is meditation and things like that. Do you prescribe to that meditation?
I do now. Yes, I was the person that used to laugh at people that meditated. My diagnosis actually turned my whole life upside down, and I work on 4 pillars. I call them IQ, PQ, EQ, and SQ. The 4 pillars of us as what we are. So IQ, of course, everybody knows what IQ is. PQ, physical intelligence. EQ, emotional intelligence. And SQ, spiritual intelligence. And they are all 4 vitally important. So, to answer your question straight out, yes, I do believe in it. It's now been proven. When I started this journey, they hadn't done scientific tests on this, but it is now proven that stress is one of the main factors that acidifies our bodies. So that is, and meditation, mindfulness, all this all adds up to stress reduction and to living a more alkaline lifestyle, basically. So yes, very important. Really is breathing. It's not just meditation. It's I have a breathing routine that I do as well. I run half marathons. I'm a big runner now. It's very lucky. I found during COVID, during the lockdown, I couldn't play tennis anymore. I couldn't go to the gym. So I started running, and it just happily found my spot and I run by myself without music because it's my time where I think, where I can really concentrate and work on myself and on ideas and on how to improve my health, etc., etc. So, 2 weeks ago, I ran, I don't know, my 11th or 12th half marathon. So
fantastic.
Really enjoy that part of it as well. The PQ, the physical intelligence that is so important. Balance, muscle strength, building muscle, especially as we age. I stand at I'm sure you can see it. I have a stand desk, and not at the moment, but when I work, I stand on a balance board in front of the standing desk. So it's just a progression of trying out new things and continuously building a better lifestyle.
Okay. When Johann, fantastic story, and it's all in the book. There's so much more, but I just want to hit on a few more points while we have time. What was the moment where you knew you kind of turned the tide?
Very important. And for me, for a lot of people that weren't quite as ill as what, some people have stage 3 cancer and they look and feel good. They don't,
Mm-hmm.
they don't look half dead like I did. So I suppose I was lucky. It was about, it's difficult to say exact time. It was about 6 to 8 weeks. So we're talking about 2 months after we changed our lifestyle. We started with the nutrition. Robert, all of a sudden, I had a surge of energy, sweet, sweet energy. I have never experienced anything like it in my life. I try and explain it in this manner. To a normal person, it was probably nothing more than a 2 foot wave swell. To me, it was like I was surfing a tsunami. I had this surge of energy that, as I said, was the sweetest thing I've ever experienced. And that was another confirmation on top for me that I was doing the right thing. I was on the right path. So I'm the lucky one because I had so many things telling me keep on doing what you're doing or not as
So
well.
after
But
12 months came up, you reached the 12-month point, and I'm sure you
yeah,
spoke to your physicians at that point. Did you say, "I'm still here, by the way," or "It's 13 months now"? And what was their take on it? And I'm sure they've been very supportive of you because this is 13 years ago. But how did that go?
absolutely. It went really well, actually. I'm a very big supporter of knowing. So I stayed in the system. I kept on going to the scans, etc. Um, the first scan, there was minimal growth, which I saw not as, oh goodness, there was growth. I saw as, well, I got it minimal. It wasn't a lot of growth. And the second scan, there was no growth, but no
Mm-hmm.
going back yet either, which I thought, which for me was the biggest win of all, because I knew I had actually managed to halt it, to stop it. The third scan was also no growth, but no reduction either,
What were the
which I
time
took.
frames between the scans?
At that stage, it was every 6 months,
Okay.
like that.
But you're still
Uh,
alive though, still hanging in
oh,
there.
absolutely, yes. And I, it took me 2.5 years to get rid of everything. But I wasn't ill for 2.5 years. I was getting stronger and stronger and feeling better and better all the time. I actually started UK Health Radio during that time. I still had cancer when I started it. So, and yeah, of course, the physician, my oncologist, she was thrilled to bits. So um,
Fantastic. What
it
a story.
was,
What a
and
story.
now, I mean, that was all in Germany. Now we live in the UK. I'm still on. I go for mole mapping.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still on a. Now I'm on a year. It's actually every 6 months. It's
Mm-hmm.
because I'm due 2 tests. The mole mapping is a year, and the normal screenings is a year, but they're 6 months apart. So I still
Amazing.
go for my tests every six
Okay.
months, basically.
All right. A couple of minutes left. Reversing cancer, the philosophy of RECNAC, cancer spelled backwards. You cause it, you reverse it. The new book by Johann Ilgenfritz. We've been talking about his journey, his path. It's an amazing, inspirational story. So much information in the book, including even how to do the alkaline diet, recipes, etc. For our audience, can you give us like 5 bullet points, 5 ways people can kind of do the very best to keep themselves healthy and prevent cancer from occurring?
Yes. Um, yes. In overall, the first one is information. Inform yourself properly from good uh, sources. And most of all, it is so important. This is all part of point one as well, still. Um, we have so many tools to do this with these days. Use them all. Don't isolate certain things because you're more allopathic inclined or because you are more holistic inclined. You use whatever you have in your toolbox to your availability. Integrative medicine is what's going to save us all, if I could put it that way. So, physical sport, very, very, very important. So, so information, physical sport, look after your emotions, look after yourself. So important. The spiritual side of things, of course, as well. If you are a religious person, believe that you will be well. If you're not a religious person, believe in your own ability that you will make it through there. Just believe. I think that's one of the most important. And be part of the process of attaining and or keeping your health freedom. Because you don't realize how precious it is. And be part of it. And I'm not saying take your health into your own hands. Please don't, I'm not saying that at all. Just be part of the process and use everything to your availability that you have. And in today's modern life, we have a lot. We have so many things that we can use.
And great facts, great inspiration, great story, great book. Johann Ilgenfritz, tell everybody where they can find more about you and your story, and obviously UK Health Radio.
Yes. Thank you, Robert. It's been a wonderful chat with you. UK Health Radio is literally ukhealthradio.com. We have 41 shows, of which, Robert, your show is a fantastic show on UK Health Radio. Thank you very much for being part of our network. So that's UK Health Radio. We've got a listen on demand section we now call it the podcast, the on-site podcast section. We have about 4,000 hours worth of health information on all aspects of health, mental health, physical health, even spiritual health, etc. on there. I also have I started a second business in 2024, beginning of last year. It's called the Alkaline Collective Mastermind. It's a mastermind for people dealing with cancer. Everybody in the mastermind, I have quite a few groups now. Everybody within the groups are all battling cancer. Some are post-cancer and are still part of the group because they want to prevent it from returning, etc. And this is also where the book is. So if you go to alkaline-collective.com, that is the website. When you land on it, click on books in the top menu, and it'll take you straight there.
And Amazon also, you'll be on. The book will be on Amazon.
Amazon, yes. The launch,
and it comes out May 7th, right?
Correct. Yes. So it'll only be on Amazon and that after the official launch on the 7th or just after the 7th of May. But you can pre-order it already on the alkaline-collective.com website, or if you're on the UK Health Radio homepage, there's a big image of the book on the homepage. You click on it, it'll take you straight there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Johann. What a story, what an inspiration, what a great network. UK Health Radio, everybody. If you enjoy the guests and content I bring you each and every week to Guys TV and Guys Radio, please support us by subscribing to our channels and platforms. Thank you.